Alright, YouTube, what is up? It is me, Bearsfan092 here, and if you missed the stream Saturday, around 1 o'clock Eastern, we had the Build-a-Bears team workshop. Basically we had about 50 people tune in for a live team building session, gave their inputs, based on what they thought of the team. Ultimately, what was decided was that we were going to use Mega Tyranitar, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly the team that we came up to. I'll explain every detail. I got all 6 members. I've got the EV spreads, I've got the attacks, and some synergistic notes that I'll talk about as we get started on the video. So let's get started, shall we? Alright. The first Pokemon we're starting with is, of course, our Mega Pokemon, and it's one that I've used a lot this season. Mega Tyranitar is very good. We saw some of the Japanese use it earlier this season. It's kind of fallen off. We haven't really seen it as much since the international challenges, but I think it's time we're going to pull it out for the LCQ, and a lot of the viewers really wanted to see Mega Tyranitar due to it being less common, so that's what we're using. So onto the specs, we have Tyranitar with its Tyranitarite obviously being the Mega. We're running a Jolly Nature. Typically you would boost the stat that has the highest base stat total, but in this case we need to hit some key speed marks, so we need Jolly. Now with the EV spread, we're running 252 HP EVs, 4 attack, 60 defense, 44 special defense, and 148 speed. And we're running the very standard Dragon Dance set, so Protect, Rock Slide, Crunch, and Dragon Dance. So moving on to the EV spreads, we have now the 252 HP, 60 defense allows it so that Garchomp can only 3-hit KO Mega Tyranitar with that huge base defense. After a Dragon Dance, we can also outspeed Mega Lucario. We actually hit 181 speed, so anything that's slower than 181 speed will get outrun and run over by Mega Tyranitar, and then the rest is dumped into special defense for bulk. Now, some of you may be wondering, how come we're investing so little in the attack, only 4 attack? And really, Mega Tyranitar doesn't need it. I mean, you're boosting base 160 attack. It's going to hit plenty hard, don't worry about it. So moving on, is a fairly standard partner. We see a Moonguss, and for now we're running the Moonguss with Rocky Helmet, real standard, relaxed, so physically defensive. And we're 236 HP, 180 defense, and 92 special defense. Now the logic behind Rocky Helmet is to kind of punish Mega Kangaskhan with his Parental Bond ability, which makes him hit twice. So every time that we can redirect Mega Kangaskhan's attack with Rage Powder, Kangaskhan's going to get punished with 33% damage, so that'll really soften up KOs and allow Mega Tyranitar to do his thing. And with the moveset, standard Moonguss fair, Protect, Rage Powder being the most key move in this set. Giga Drain, which could be switched out for Sludge Bomb at a later point, we'll see how that performs, and of course, Spore. And in terms of the EVs, I talked about Mega Kangaskhan before, and basically what this allows us to do is if Kangaskhan gets up to +1, Moonguss will still survive with a little bit of HP, and that'll allow it to redirect another attack. The HP was slightly reduced from 252 HP EVs to 236 because this yields the highest possible HP number that's divisible by 3. And this is because Regenerator divides by 3, and due to Pokemon math, that's the way you want it to work out. And furthermore, the special defense turned out to be just enough left over, and that allowed us to survive Life Orb, Timid Greninja's Ice Beam. So this EV spread might be adjusted a little bit. Sometimes with these high base HP Pokemon, you want to move them to more defensive stats. But I think for now it'll work just fine. Okay, so we have 2 Pokemon that kind of have issues with Gardevoir. So we're going to put probably this metagame's most premier Steel type in Aegislash, and we're going to run what we call the Turbo Slash set. So Turbo Slash is Aegislash with Life Orb, and it's really fast. So 252 speed with a timid nature, naive nature, that allows it to outspeed Adamant Bisharp, and then you can hit it with a Sacred Sword and one-shot it. Because we're running such a fast Aegislash, we're going to be running Shadow Ball, and then we're going to be throwing on Wide Guard. Now the main reason for Wide Guard is that Garchomp can give this team some troubles with its Earthquake, but Wide Guard allows it to protect its teammate, helps Tyranitar set up. It's just a useful move on this team, and of course the standard King Shield. In terms of EVs, it's a fast Aegislash. You don't want to overthink the EVs too much. So we're going to go with a simple 252 4 spread. Alright, and for Gyarados, so Gyarados is an interesting one. He's got a Wakan Berry and he's Jolly, and he's a support Gyarados. And now Nationals runner-up Adib Alam, he ran a Dragon Dance Gyarados. We're going to be going with a more supportive role, and the reason for that is a Moonguss can be difficult, Aegislash can be difficult, Stopping Trick Room, Smeargle, oh my goodness, Smeargle, I could go on for days. So this Gyarados kind of patches up a lot of holes while providing some Intimidate support. And so he's running Protect, Taunt, Thunder Wave for some speed control, and of course Waterfall, because you know Waterfall and Gyarados is your main reliable attack. The EV spreads are a bit more interesting. So 164 HP gives you 191 HP. Now this is one less than a number divisible by 16. So this is what we call a Sandstorm number. Furthermore, it survives a modest Specs Draco Meteor from Hydreigon, so that'll allow you to Thunder Wave it or, you know, do whatever support you need to do. And I talked about Smeargle earlier, and this Gyarados actually outruns Smeargle by 1 point, and this allows it to taunt Smeargle and stop Dark Void from going off. So Gyarados, pretty key part of our plan against Kangaskhan Smeargle. So on the subject of Hydreigon, we're going to be making a similar call to many people and putting a Choice Specs Hydreigon on our team. One difference is we might be running Timid, whereas other people might opt to be Modest. So fairly standard 3 moves in Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, Fire Blast, and then we're adding U-Turn because U-Turn allows you to predict some switches. You could put Flash Cannon, but honestly it's not that good. So U-Turn at least gives you an interesting option, albeit a rarely used one. So the Timid nature is to outrun Modest Specs Hydreigon, which might be useful in Worlds LCQ. But for the rest of the EVs, it's fairly simple. They allow you to survive Dragon Claw from Jolly Garchomp 100% of the time, and also allows you to get the jump on base 100 speed Pokemon, things like Salamence, if you run into any max speed Adamant Kangaskhan, which I doubt you will. So it sits at 154 speed, so it actually speed creeps them by 2. So anyone who's trying to speed creep that tier will also be speed crept. And that brings us to our last Pokemon, and this is definitely one of the more interesting ones. And basically we noticed that we kind of had a hard time with Hydreigon, so we decided to put in a Sylveon. So this Sylveon is running a Citrus Berry, which is kind of tentative. I'm kind of thinking about switching the Rocky Helmet and Citrus Berry around on this team. So it's a Modest nature, which is good because it has base 110 special attack. And for the EV spread, 244 HP, 196 defense, 44 special attack, 20 special defense, and 4 speed. And this is an interesting moveset. 2 utility moves here in Helping Hand and Skill Swap. Helping Hand, which allows us to boost the moves of our other hard hitters. Skill Swap, which can really nerf some Pokemon like Mawile, Mega Kangaskhan, who are reliant on their abilities. Moonblast for a Fairy type attack, and of course Protect. And for the EVs, it's fairly simple. It allows you to survive +1 Jolly Kangaskhan return with a Citrus Berry factored in, and it also knocks out 4 HP Salamence, provided it has taken 6.25% damage, which is equivalent to 1 Sand Tick. So yeah, I'm just thinking moving forward with this team, Bisharp is going to be a difficult matchup. You can't really bring Gyarados. Hydreigon does pretty well against it because you can KO it with Fire Blast. Sylveon doesn't want really anything to do with it because Iron Head's going to knock it out. Tyranitar obviously doesn't really like it. Moonguss can put it to sleep and let the others kind of go to work. But it's a hard matchup, and I think that's definitely going to have to be something that I'll address later. I talked about Garchomp earlier. We have Wide Guard though, so that makes that matchup a bit easier. We can threaten it with Hydreigon and Sylveon. We can intimidate with Garchomp, and even Tyranitar can beat it, like if you set up the right conditions for it. So I'm not super worried, but you gotta keep that in the back of your mind. The Rotom forms are gonna be an interesting question. I'm not so worried about Rotom Heat because I have Hydreigon and Tyranitar. But Rotom Wash, if it stays on the field too long, spreads too many Will-O-Wisp. I mean, a Moonguss makes that matchup easier. Hydreigon can beat it. Sylveon doesn't particularly mind that matchup. It's just something to be mindful of rather than something to actively like game plan around anymore. Well, at least in the context of this team. And then I'm kind of curious about Sylveon. I already talked about the item switch that I'll potentially be doing because I think Citrus Berry and Moonguss is very good. We saw that on Aegislash runner-up nationals team. Also, I'm just kind of curious about Sylveon in general. Very especially bulky. I do like that. 95 base HP, base 130 special defense, good special attack, but I don't know if it does enough. So that'll be something to look into. The main reason why it's here is because Hydreigon's a problem, and Hydreigon basically gets a free hit off on my team. So yeah, over the next few days, I'll be building this team in Showdown. Well, it's already up on Showdown, but you know, possibly looking to getting it in game, get some Showdown test battles with it, kind of document the whole practice process, and then hopefully we'll get this thing tweaked up if it needs it. So yeah, if you're looking for this team, I will have the paste bin posted at my blog Bearsfan092 at wordpress.com. So yeah, definitely check that out if you're interested in playing around with this team. So yeah, I think that about covers everything I wanted to say for this week. So stay tuned. I'll be streaming some of my practice, so definitely say hi. And until then, peace out.